Hello and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be how do you fit those refurbished carbs that you've just bought to your car. You've just spent a lot of money on refurbished carbs which are in excellent condition, so unless you know exactly how you're supposed to fit them, you can ruin everything you've just done by buying them. Come and have a look. I'll show you how to do it. You just bought a beautiful set of carbs, fully refurbished, in an excellent condition, and you just paid a lot of money for them because they are really nice carbs and just what you want to fit on your car. But get it wrong and you may as well get that money and throw it in the bin. Now these carbs I'm showing you are from a Triumph Spitfire, but it's pretty much the same if you fit any set of twin SU carbs. It can be from any car. These are Spitfire ones. The most important thing is that the face where you're going to fit the carburetors to must be immaculate. The carburetors that you bought have obviously just had their faces redone. You will also get in with the kit a set of brand new gaskets. If you don't, then don't buy the carbs off of that supplier. Brand new gaskets, fully refaced carbs, but the face that it's going on to, the manifold, must be equally as clean. As you can see here, because this is a manifold that I've restored and it's ready to take the carbs, but what your manifold may look like is that. Now this is a carb, I know, but it's still the face. Look at the state of the gasket. Or if you've got a plate that goes between your carb and the manifold, it may be like that. The original gasket's on. The original gasket doesn't look that bad, but mate, you've got to take that gasket off. And if it's a two-sided piece, like this is, it's a abutment plate, you must take the gasket off both sides so that you can use a brand new gasket on both sides of the abutment plate, so that then everything will be okay. Now, because people are lazy, they don't want to clean that plate off, so what they do is they go out and they buy a tube of that. Mate, I can't even begin to tell you how much of a bad idea that is. It ain't just a bad idea, it's a bad idea with a capital B. Because if you use that, that will squeeze into this space here and then be sucked into the engine and will cause havoc. And, mate, that is lazy. Lazy beyond belief. So do not, unless you've been told to by the restorer, do not use instant gasket. So how do we clean those faces up? Those faces have got to be as clean as the face on the carburetor that you're fitting on. Well, the best way to clean it is with a blade. I know there's loads of different ways of doing it, but I always use a blade. I'll show you how. So we'll concentrate on this one first. Then what we're going to do, we're going to use a blade. You can use Stanley blade, you can use razor blade, or you can use a blade. But either way, you just use those and scrape, gently scrape. See how you can scrape that and it removes the gasket. And you've got to do it until every single trace of the gasket it's removed. Now this blade probably won't get it down to the metal, look, because there's bits there. So what we'll do, we'll get another blade and just scrape it gently until ultimately it's all off. See, just keep going at it until every single bit is off. See, that there is clean. So we're going to do that with all of that. I'll do that now, then I'll show you what to do next. So there you go, you've removed 99.9% of the gasket material. And then what you've got to do, just literally, be careful with this, but literally you've got to go over it to make sure it's flat. So get one of these sanding blocks and just very carefully go over it to make sure there's absolutely no remnants of gasket. Because if you get any bits of gasket, you'll be able to pick them up with the blade until it's completely clear. And we just keep doing that until the finish you get is perfect. Until you get a finish that's like that, smooth, with no bits of gasket hanging up. Then you can fit your new gasket to it, and then obviously fit your carburetor to that. Do not use instant gasket. Do not use it at all on the installation of carburetors. It is a nightmare, and people do it all the time. Do not use instant gasket. I think you can get from that I don't like instant gasket. Sometimes instant gasket is brilliant, but not when you're fitting carburetors. I can't tell you enough how much you shouldn't use instant gasket. Here's a similar situation. I know this is on a carburetor, and obviously it won't be like this if you bought carburetors, but sometimes the gasket does stick to the manifold, and it's like this. This gasket sticks to the face, and it is really hard and arduous to remove. So what you have to do is exactly what we've just done with the abutment plate. Just use a blade and get the bits off. Do it bit by bit. Don't rush. Don't rush. Do it bit by bit. If you find it a little bit arduous, just stop doing it and go and have a cup of tea. And then when you come back, you'll have renewed vigour. And then you can see with that little bit there that I've just done, look, just a little clean up afterwards will actually give you a very nice usable face with which you can place a new gasket on. Now, I can't tell you enough how important it is to make sure that your manifold is in superb condition, because if you get a slight leak at the manifold between the carburetor and the manifold, it's a waste of time. You cannot tune the carbs. It's a waste of time. Just another little thing to mention, sometimes the carburetors are held on by studs, and if you've got to clean this face and there's studs in the way, it's very difficult to get a nice clean face. So the best way is to remove the studs, but people don't know how to remove the studs. This is how you do it. I'll show you how. Get one of the nuts, screw the nut on until it's about halfway down the stud. Then get another nut and screw that on until it comes up against the original stud, or the original nut, sorry. When the two are together like that, one on the bottom nut, one on the top nut, and then do them up together. So now those two nuts are done up against each other. Then using a spanner on the lower nut only, unscrew the stud. The stud will then come off, and all you've used is the nuts. You can then clean the manifold as we've just shown, and that area there where the manifold can be cleaned just as well as the others. Then when you come to refit, you screw the stud back in, and to tighten the stud up you use a spanner on the top nut, and then that screws the nut, the stud, all the way in. When you've finished, you then put a spanner on the bottom nut, one on the top nut, and then you literally just pull them apart. Then you can screw the studs off in the normal way, and then the stud is fitted in position. So now we're talking about fitting the carburetors to the manifold and setting up the linkage system so that it works properly. Now the carburetors, if you bought them from a reputable restorer, will be synchronized. It's essential to ask the guy that you bought the carburetors from, are they synchronized? If they're not, or he doesn't give you a good enough answer, I'll show you how to synchronize them, just in case you have to synchronize them. Most of the time they've already been synchronized, so you can actually skip this next bit, but synchronization of twin carbs is essential. So here, what you do now is you get a very small, this is a riffler, but you can get a little small drill or something like that, something that is a constant size, something that you can actually use with ease. And then you open the throttle and you put it in so that the throttle sticks against it. Then you get a screwdriver into the throttle stop, and you wind the throttle stop in until that thing falls through. Like that, see? Notice that's just fallen. So then you wind it back until it just touches it. Just touches it. Now you do that with both carbs. So now you know that both carburetors are open exactly the same amount. Then, with that out, you then turn the throttle stop screw a set number of turns. Let's say 2 turns. So we back it out 2 turns. Half, 1, 1.5, 2. And if we do that to both carburetors, both butterflies are at exactly the same point. It might not be the place where you want it when the engine's running. You'll adjust that once the engine's running. But it starts off at the same place. Both carbs must be at exactly the same place. That's synchronization. I've got that fucking wrong. So here's the linkage for the throttle. That goes in there, and then that bracket slides into there, look. You can see that that bracket goes into that bit there. So when this moves and this is attached to it, that will move too. Don't do the nuts up yet. These must be loose. So we put both of them on, and then when you join the carbs together, this goes into the other carbs throttle. The choke one goes in there, and then that goes into that hole there, and then that goes there, ready to go into the next one. So you notice they're now connected together very loosely, because that's still loose. And then what we can do now is we can fit that to the manifold. nice and carefully, using new gaskets. All the things we've talked about will now join that to the manifold. Now they've both fitted to the manifold, so now what we do now, we have to fit the interconnecting link between the throttle arm and this lever here, because that way then you've got the throttle connected to the carburetors. And what we do there is you get the clip, you put that in there, you put the other end in there, that actually makes the connection. And in order to make sure that that is safe, there's special little clips that come with it, and what you do, you put them on and then they clip into the onto the arm. So in other words, put that in there like that, pass the link arm through, and then the link arm clips. That's then captive. You do that on both both connections, and then clip it on. That is then connected. And notice that when the throttle cable moves this section there, it moves that link, which at the moment is not tightened up. So when we're fitting the choke, these are in these holes, so just hold it so that it's touching the upper part, and then nip these nuts up. Just nip them up. That's it. Upper part of the hole, nip the nut up. So when you move this, both chokes move together. Then pass the choke cable through and fit the choke cable into this section here. Then just do that up until then when you pull the choke cable, that'll operate both chokes together. With this section here, notice you can move it about quite a bit. Move it to the top like that, and then nip that up. Keep that to the top. And on the other one, keep that one to the top, nip it up. And then once they're adjusted, take your time, do it properly. But look, you've got a little bit of slack in the mechanism, so it won't be pulling the throttle open. And then when you do operate it, both throttles open at exactly the same time, which is essential for synchronization. Once they've been synchronized, then if you need to adjust the throttle, then move each throttle stop exactly the same amount, because you synchronize the carbs. So if you turn this one half, you have to turn this one half, and then you can actually get that so that that works perfectly. The last thing you need to look at is fast idle. So when you move the choke around, there's a fast idle screw here that gets pushed round by this section there, and that will allow the throttle to be partially open. Now notice that these two here, look, that one's not moving, this one's moving, so they want adjusting. So the best way to do it is to bring it round until the lever, the choke lever, just comes up next to the fast idle screw. Now notice how was this one here is just touching it, that one there isn't. So with it held there, adjust that until it touches, and then they'll both work at exactly the same time. Now when you operate the throttle, the choke, you can see that both chokes move the same. So The choke operation is synchronised. The fast idle is synchronised. The throttle is synchronised. So basically, that's how you attach twin carbs and how you set them up. It's not a 5-minute job, and it is something that sometimes you have to go away and have a cup of tea and come back because you get annoyed. Do not thrash it. Make sure you do it properly, because the difference is a car that runs lovely and a car that runs like a complete bucket. And then you'll wonder, why did I buy carburetors? It runs worse now than what it did before. Well, it's not the carburetor's fault, it's the installation fault. There's one last thing to do before you're ready to go for a black down the pub. So the one last thing you need to worry about is the damper. You take these dampers out, then you have to fit oil in there. If you look, there's the top of the piston. When that piston rod is down, then you top that up with oil until the oil is just over that piston rod, just over where that rod is when it's down. Once it's topped up to there, you put that back in nice and carefully, screw it all the way up. You'll find that these carburetors, you need to do that on a fairly regular basis, right? The oil that you should use is SAE 20 or 30, although most people use engine oil. Don't worry about using engine oil, it's not a problem, it's fine. So double check, make sure that's always been done, because if that's not done, then the car will balk every time you accelerate. Alright, there you go then. That's how you set up twin carburetors, twin SUs on a manifold. It does take a bit of time. You do have to spend your time making sure it's done exactly right. You get one thing wrong and the car will run like a complete bucket. Right, so spend a bit of time, make sure it's exact. The people that restored your carburetors probably made sure that they were actually perfect. So just double check that everything is as it should be, synchronization, etc., chokes, fast idle, all of that, so that when you actually start using the car, it will drive perfectly. With a new set of carburetors on it, it should be an absolute pleasure to drive. Let us know if there's anything else you need, and I'll help you out. See you soon. Take care. Bye.